All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? It's Mech-Hop Mondays, episode 62. We got the boy Chime Harvey here with us.
How's it going?
Mech-Hop Mondays.
It is on. And I'm currently looking for a chime sound to completely spam. So anyway, Chime, if you want to plug anything that's coming up or has just dropped or whatever.
Oh man, what the hell is my most recent release? I guess my most recent release is my remix of Mistakes by Dodge and Fusky, Phase 1 and the Actuarians. It's out now on Disciple.
Bang.
Yeah.
That's
Next
awesome,
release is at the end of the month and is not announced yet, but it's a 3-way collab, and very excited for that one.
All right.
But
heavy hitters or what?
Sorry?
Is it a collab with some heavy hitters or what?
It's a collab with another kind of like melodic producer, and we have a vocalist as well.
Awesome.
And they may be in the chat right now. Yeah.
Up
So
Arcturians, the guys and girl. Declan's in the chat as usual. Foxchild as usual. Awesome to see you guys back, Lich.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
we got Famous Spear as well. He's about to I won't say. We're doing a thing. There's a thing happening.
Awesome.
But yeah, very cool producer.
I will definitely have to check this
Oh,
out.
and A Cosmo as well. I know these people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I'm just making a post in the Facebook group here.
I swear I need that sample for everyday life. Like, if there's ever an awkward silence, just like
Yeah.
pull up the soundboard on my phone.
I actually I have kind of like an equivalent sample, but it's Aaron from Game Grumps. You know, have you seen that episode of Sonic 06 where it's him and JonTron and it just glitches out and he's like, "What is happening?" And I just took the what use it on the offbeat of like 3 or 4 of my tunes because it's good.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm just gonna say I consider this episode 31 times 2.
I should.
Oh yeah.
I totally should have put that. All right. So we got the posts up. Everything is looking like it's going how it should be. So Scott, you got anything to share? What are you working on? What's coming up for you?
Well, I got we both got the Read Speed remix EP coming up very soon, and I guess this is actually a really awesome fitting stream for that because I'm really excited because I haven't really put out like a more like melodic oriented track in a while that kind of incorporates my sound. If that makes sense. Like it's kind of like it's like a robotic dubstep tune, but like it's more heavily melodic dubstep inspired. And then like the intro is kind of wave, and then the second drop is a combo of the two. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And your remix is amazing. I'm really glad. Like, sorry to cut you off, but the best was like at first I was like maybe I should get Colin on my remix, and you're like no, that's sick. Like that sounds like you. That sounds perfect. And then you went and knocked yours out of the park, and now we both have.
And they are totally different too, which is good.
Yeah.
You guys need to send me these.
Yeah, because it is funny that it works out like this because you are like the melodic guy, you know, and we have melodic music coming up this week. So yeah, let me. Unfortunately, we can't post any previews in the stream right now, but like we said, Thursday the whole release is coming out. So I'll make sure to get a pre-save link for anybody who's interested. I will I'll have that posted up on Twitter and everything.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one.
Yes. So So I know we don't have any submissions as of right now, like anybody else's music, but for whoever would be interested in us kind of listening to your music, you can go to the Facebook group. It's just facebook.com/group/Mech-Hop Militia, and we'll play whatever you guys want us to listen to and or critique and whatever. But this is all about the engagement, people. So, share the link if you want to. Ask some friends to join in if you have. Sorry about that. If you guys have like music, even if it's not your own that you just want to pick our brain on or whatever, that's cool too. I do have a few questions that a little later I want to kind of run through with you, Harvey, like probably towards the end of the chat, but I'm going to be trying to implement like a more firm like question section from us to keep it rolling when the chat has some downtime.
Okay.
Yeah. I have some questions as well.
I do know also in the Facebook group somebody's already sent a question, so I'm going to find that real quick.
Yeah, I was actually looking earlier and I saw a couple.
Declan posted my track forever, asking if Harvey has thoughts on it.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to that. What's the question for that? Unless you found them, Harvey.
Oh, let me see. Because there was a couple of posts about the stream that I saw. So, let's see, groups.
We have a general question that we can all kind of touch on. From Declan as well. He says, just so this one doesn't get lost in the live chat later today, he posted, how much do you guys try to keep your transients accurate when live mixing? Personally, I'll happily bump a tune up or down a few BPM because tunes that go through Rekordbox seem to keep their transients pretty well, even after.
Yeah, the system works really well for transients. I mean, it works perfectly if you've got master key, whatever it's master tempo on. Off. But yeah, even with it on, it's pretty good at that. Unless you're going, I don't know, like 140 to like 190 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually fine.
Somebody else had commented on that post and said they usually don't mind going up about 5 to 10%, and I would say that's kind of a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Anything like 15% plus starts sounding kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing a track that's originally 140, you don't want to go over like 150. Really, I tend to go up to just like 145. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm normally playing out 144, 145. I've always liked 144 for some odd reason, but
yeah.
Just because.
yeah. Because also before I had Rekordbox, when I would be like just quick doing math on stage for like percentages or like some of them read as like half. So like 144 was an easy half if the CDJ wasn't reading out 0.5s and stuff like that. Like
right, I see.
It would just be 72 if you were playing 44 track instead of 72.5.
True.
Yeah, when I'm playing like a drum bass set, it's like, you've got like 86. I gotta think what that actually is in real BPM. It's like I'm the same with like sharps and flats because I know everything as sharps. So when somebody says like B flat, I'm like, oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I got it. That's
me too.
A sharp. Okay, right.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for my brain to do for some reason. Yeah.
It's so
I don't know why
people split up and say everything sharp or everything flat. I know some people that depending on the scale they'll say flat or sharp.
Yeah, I think
exactly
flats.
How deep that goes, but
yeah, I think flats are generally dealt with in music theory because I think it's easier to represent the scales like that. But generally, I've always learned sharps because in all the DJ software I use and like Yeah, it's easier for me to be like, this note add 1 instead of being like, okay, what's the note below it?
Right.
You know.
I just feel like if you don't use sharps, you usually fall flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Sorry.
Very good input.
Cheers, thanks for the share spot.
Somebody else in our Facebook group, he posted, "Please talk about mixdowns for 8 hours on the podcast."
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, literally every single producer that's not good, such as myself, would be good if they had good mixdowns.
Yeah, I mean, that is like the number one thing. Like when I get submissions through to my label, it's like I have like a default, if I skip a track, my default answer is like, you need to work on your mix down or whatever, like, because it's... Yeah. And that's the thing, like, your ideas can come along really quickly, but I think mix down just takes just years and years of just training your ears, because that's all it is just training your ears to understand what is good, what works.
It is still so subjective at the same time. Like, if you're big on sound design, like your sound design process is going to affect how you want to mix down and everything. So, like, one clear cut answer isn't going to really do it, because I'm a big like proponent of making your making new sounds in every project, at least a few. Like, obviously reusing sounds is fine, but like when you're doing that and you're trying to get something different from what you've done all the time, it's going to call for different processing and stuff. So it's really
a different relationship with your drums, different
right. Yeah. So I would say just kind of like do your research, figure out what compressors really do, how they affect things and everything. And same thing with EQs, and definitely look up masking. Masking frequencies is like a big thing where you're going to either have clarity or have none at all, no matter how you level mix. So
and then once you've like picked up most of the basics about like, okay, how you're doing your side chaining, how you're leveling stuff, stereo imaging, that sort of thing, it really is just a case of like just producing all the time. Because I got to the point I don't know, like 5 years ago, where I was like, okay, I know I'm using all the same techniques, but it's just it's like knowing what drum samples actually sound good, how to affect them so they sound good, how it all comes together, how much sub you should actually have, that sort of thing. It's all just basically trial and error until you kind of get into the flow of things.
Because like when you first start too, like you're gonna be like, oh, I want things to sound heavy, or oh, I want the bass to be heavy, so you just boost the hell out of the sub bass, and then you're like, oh no, nothing else is coming through after I like put a limiter on this, and like you have to start gradually understanding context and like the decisions you need to make, or almost like illusions you need to create for some things, like maybe a higher 100 to like 300 hertz and your sub bass would make the sub bass sound more prominent, but your first go-to thought is like, oh, I need to boost the level, or oh, I need to boost the low lows, but you can get like perceived loudness from like tons of different techniques. So
it's also about just a lot of comparison with other people's music and why their mix down sounds good, and also just knowing what sounds wrong and being able to fix it. That's the thing you can only really get from just producing, trying it out, because then you start realizing, oh, I've been doing this, which is a really bad idea, or like you compare your mix down to someone else's and you're like, oh, they actually have a lot more high end than I thought I needed, or whatever. So it's just it's a continuous ongoing process, and it's very difficult to teach as well. Just and because
nobody's ever done either. Like nobody's ever done learning. It's just a matter of how far along you are and how well you understand the relationships between processes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's why I feel really lucky that like I have all you guys like as like producer friends now, because when you start out you don't have that and you just have your own ears, and that's why like Colin would scold me if I pulled like the same shit I used to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's being able to bounce off other people is very important at that early stage, because you have so much doubt. You're like doing things and I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't know if this is a good thing. And then you send it to someone and they're like, what the hell? What the hell is this snare? Or like, and you go, oh yeah, it is shockingly bad. I'll change.
I actually, like last month, I was sending out a track to just a couple people, like just to get feedback on it. And one of my friends was like, it could use a little stereo width, and I was like, what? Like I have it spread out. I know I have it spread out, and I go back into the project and I'm looking at everything, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like everything's fine. And then I finally realized on the master channel, because like I'll flip the master to mono just to like level mix a little better, and it was left on mono. Like I activated the master chain still, but I left it on mono. So I was like, oh my god.
Can we take like a moment
sending this out, and I'm like, I don't know what I did wrong.
A moment of silence for Ansford, who fucking had his speakers set to mono for an entire year.
Oh my
wow, okay.
And his mix sounds are great, so I'm like, you did good, but like, fuck, man,
that's crazy.
Yeah. I was so upset for him when I saw that.
Does he use headphones too? Like, was he able to understand the stereo at all?
I'm honestly not particular. I'm pretty sure he might have used headphones from time to time, but the entire year his speakers.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's just winging it on stereo field.
Unknowingly winging it.
I think I'm more impressed that just like his tunes have great mix sounds. Like I've really no complaints. So
well, I mean that is a mix down technique. Is like putting everything in mono and checking everything's cool in mono, and it's usually fine in stereo as well. Yeah. If you're dimension expanding all the right things.
Yeah, but you just don't know like how far things have gone and everything. Like you understand their stereo, but you don't know how stereo.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, he could have like accidentally put reverb on a sub and had no idea.
That'd be too funny.
So, well, tell us like a little bit about yourself, Harvey. First and foremost, like, have you grown up in the UK, and have you lived there your entire life, or?
Yeah. So I'm 24, believe it or not. Most people don't believe it. I grew up in Leeds, which is the same city that Rusko is from. Rusko's from there. Fox Stevenson. Who else? Ramesses B. And I think 50 Carat from Gentleman's Club is from Leeds.
In the water. Something in the water.
I don't know. But someone Declan in the chat says he's from Leeds. 0113 rise up. 0113 is like the telephone code for Leeds.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I pretty much lived there up until, I don't know, I was like 19, and I went to university at the University of Huddersfield, which is a shocking, terrible place to go to university. And I had a few horrible years. I did manage to struggle through, and then now I'm living in Sheffield. So it's all very northern. Very northern English.
Well, Sheffield is considered in Leeds?
No. Sheffield's a separate city. It's about 40 minutes drive on a good day.
This may be the dumbest question I ever asked, but how long is it to drive from one end of England to the other, like north to south?
Where are we picking? Like from like the border of Scotland?
Yeah.
border to border.
Well, let me Google Maps this. I want an official answer because I'm not sure actually because I never go that far north. I've never been. I've never been to Scotland.
Because we live in both really, really big countries, and it still kills me. I was kind of ranting about it like the other night when I was in Montreal. Everyone expects me like to drive to Montreal when they play their first show in Canada, and like
which is monstrous drive.
It's like a 64.
Oh, because you're in like you're in like Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's despicably long.
So LA.
I'm doing Carlisle to Brighton right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is 6 hour 30-minute drive.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that's from practically the Scottish border, but you can go even further. You can go down to like Penzance in Cornwall, which is that kind of very, very, very bottom tip.
Mm.
That kind of sticks out to the west. Let's see how far that is. It is 7 hours 47 minutes. So it's a lot bigger than people will think, and from over in North America.
Yeah.
The best way to compare, honestly, is you go to a website called thetruesizeof.com, and it kind of allows you to put one country over another one.
Oh wow!
And it shows you like how terrible the Mercator projection is for actually showing how big different countries are. Because you look at a map and Greenland is like this monster thing, and Canada's like holy shit, and then you like drag it down to Africa and you're like, oh, it's not that big.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I got a sense of like how big different US states were. I just would drag the UK over and go, okay.
Yeah. I have to say, like, I thought it was going to be shorter than that to get all the way through England. Like, the way everybody makes it seem, that's not too bad. Especially when you think about like Europe, like the smaller European countries, like that shit is.
It's pretty decently big, but definitely bigger than you guys would probably think.
Yeah,
but I've never been that far north, so.
I don't know. Like, I honestly, that seems pretty reasonable to me because it's been drilled in my mind my entire life that because like Calgary's the closest actual city to me, that like a normal drive is 3 hours. So going 7
exactly.
hours
You're in the middle of nowhere out there. Yeah,
it's like so reasonable to me. Like that's a nice vacation right there. You could go between like 6 different cities. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, and also there's just way more cities in the UK. That was kind of what surprised me when I came over to the States. I went to a new state and I was like, okay, where's all the cities? And it's just like, oh, this is the one. This is the one city. There you go. It's Des Moines.
You're in it. Yeah.
It's Des Moines, Iowa. There's nothing else. So, yeah, but we've got like Leeds, Manchester, London, Birmingham, Brighton, Bristol, Newcastle. It's pretty dense with cities and then just like farmland.
Yeah.
Countryside for hours between.
What's your stance on or opinion or preference on the scene out there? Like how do you enjoy like going to shows, etc.? Have you played any shows out in the UK?
Yeah, so I actually did one really recently. It was with Modestep in London, and I think it's their first show there in like 3, 4, 5 years or something. I might be wrong there, but
wow.
The scene is very, very, very quiet for dubstep, which comes as a shock to a lot of people. But if you live here, it's so obvious just because there's just nothing. Like that show with Modestep, like a couple of weeks ago, was the dubstep show for the UK this year.
Yeah,
like. So like all the dubstep guys were there.
Yeah.
It's really that kind of situation. You can only really play in London, and then that's like it. I mean, there's more of a scene for the very, very original dubstep stuff. Like I was surprised. In fact, Declan said in the chat, Rusko played in Sheffield the night after I played that London show. So I couldn't make it. I was like, damn. but yeah, it's very, very sparse, and there really just aren't any promoters kind of willing to even try putting on a dubstep show right now. It's it's pretty rough
because like a lot of really good artists are coming out of the UK, like you as well, and like I don't know, I don't know if this is accurate, but from the outside looking in, it almost seems like in the UK they're always ready to like blow up the next big thing. Like I feel like dubstep kind of blew up for a little bit over there, and then they were on to like some other shit, you know, like back to the or garage or however you guys say it out there, but like
well, that was kind of the problem. That's what that was really the nail in the coffin, is because it got so big and it was everywhere, and then we had it was in the charts. It was like #1 Louder by DJ Fresh. It's a dubstep track, like. And then people got so sick of it so immediately, and then Skrillex came along and really changed what dubstep really is. Because I mean, if you listen to really early dubstep, it's a completely different thing to what it is now. So, and also there's this kind of culture in the UK of like, Americans take our stuff and then ruin it.
Yeah.
And then it's not ours anymore, and then we just have to renounce the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like really I was a lot more into drum and bass until kind of Skrillex came along, really. So that's when I became more interested in dubstep.
Bro, pop and rock elements and really into it, you know. Definitely progressed it, you know.
Yeah, early dubstep always kind of felt like the kind of little brother of drum and bass. The mix downs were never very good. The sound design was very, very simplistic. I mean, looking back now, I really like that old stuff. It's kind of nostalgic to me, and I think, especially compared to like the 2019 scene, it's a lot more interesting to me just because of the there's pure musicality going on, and sound design was more simple, and it kind of meant that people were focusing more on the ideas than
you had to write
just like let's make all the cool sounds and then just put the cool sounds in a track.
There's more substance in that regard, right?
Yeah, exactly. So but originally I was like, it's a bit rubbish, and then when Skrillex came along and it kind of actually started developing, that's when I took a lot more interest. But that's when it really plummeted in the UK because people are like, we're jumping off this shit. This is not our thing. We don't like this,
Abandoned.
yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
It's been a long journey, but I guess that all the history with dubstep here, we've all the producers that have kind of grown up here with all the different forms of dubstep, they have kind of more of an understanding of what's good, I think. They've kind of seen it come from like garage and then get wobbly and then get more bro steppy, and then there's been so many different eras. And I really like involving all those different eras into my own music and my sets as well. So I have a lot of like throwback tunes and stuff.
I still love playing some of the classics.
We have a visitor from my puppy, if you want to say hi.
Is it the floof?
Hey!
You put her on screen.
Oh my god.
Say hello to Mochi.
Hello, Mochi.
Hello.
Hi, Mochi.
How's it going?
That is too
much.
Somebody said turn around in the chat, so I was like, this is my dog.
How old is he or she?
She is about 6 months old.
Oh wow! So
a little puppy.
And it's a Pomeranian. Right?
Pomeranian.
Yeah.
Purebred as well, aren't you?
Awesome.
She's been really good. She actually when I hold her and like fuss with her and stuff, she can get a bit grumbly sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm like training her not to do that because I want to get her. See, look, there we go. All right, go back to mommy now.
Mochi.
Go on. See you later. There she goes. All right, sorry about that.
That's I had a Pomeranian who unfortunately like last year passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
But that's all good. It was technically my stepdad's dog, but I would like take care of him during the days and everything when he was at work and my mom and everything. But he was awesome. I think did you meet him, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was the best.
His name was Rocky, dude. He thought he was like honcho. Like he walked like a bulldog almost. Like he thought he was all buff.
Oh yeah.
He was so.
He had Lat syndrome.
That's apparently quite a Pomeranian thing. Like they think they're much bigger than they actually are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, he would bark at all the like big dogs he saw, but if another small dog walked past, he wasn't bothered at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have 25-ish minutes left. To a couple of these submissions here in the group, we can kind of.
I've got track submissions.
Yes, sir. We got a few since the stream started. Looks like somebody did a reimagining of one of your tracks. Wait for me.
A reimagining?
Yeah, that's what it says. It says Chime, Wait for Me, reimagined.
Okay, interesting.
So
The stems are available for that. So.
Is that right?
Yeah, I did a remix competition a couple years ago. Yeah, it came out like 2 years ago, I think.
It's always so hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
When times get hard and all feels lost, know that I am here for you. I might be gone for long, but it's just a piece of eternity. So just wait for me.
Pretty cool stuff. I like the like future-y kind of vibe. One thing I could recommend is maybe just being a little bit more reserved with the sub bass. I think the sub bass is like a little bit loud and it's so consistent when you have the chords so broken up and everything. So maybe try and play off of that a little bit. But
so having the sub bass kind of go along with the chords, I couldn't really hear from just like over the stream, but yeah, I know what you mean there. Yeah, I'd probably suggest that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Scott, you got anything to say about that one?
I do agree. Like the kick was a little bit prominent from what I was hearing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But was that through sidechain functionality, or is it boosted too much? Because of like if not, like I'd suggest just EQing it down with the sidechain, but it might be as simple as turning it down. But aside from that, like I think you guys touched on it pretty well. I just noticed that being super prominent with the sub, so there might be some conflict there. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd probably suggest as well having more of a lead sound over the chords for the initial part of the drop. Like once the vocals come back in kind of halfway through, you could take it out, but like you definitely want one of those more prominent kind of hooks. It could be like running through the same kind of like LFO as the chords, but definitely something like more high pitched I think would work.
Yeah. Get that like right hand keyboard action.
I think A Cosmo has submitted a tune to the group.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Just got the notification on Facebook, so unless we have a next one, we could take a listen to that.
Let's see. Let's see what we got. A Cosmo.
Oh, we got a couple of submissions.
Yeah. So we'll start with this A Cosmo track called Protostar. Melodic rhythm. You didn't play this out, did you, Harvey?
No.
Okay. Definitely super proper melodies in that one.
Yeah.
Feels tight.
I don't know if I really have any critiques. I really like the chord synth. The mix down kind of smacks, you know, like it's definitely got the power going there.
I really loved the switch up in the drop.
Yeah, the second
really cool.
half was really nice.
Yeah, I mean it's good. Like I don't think it quite beats out the last tune he sent me, which is also has Star in the title. I'm pretty sure.
Is that right?
It's like, oh, is this the same one? But yeah, I think there was one thing I wanted to critique, which was there was like a couple of layers in the B section of the drop that almost kind of like a bell sound was like layered in, and I think there was some weird harmonics that weren't necessarily working with the chords.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of went like out of key a little bit just because of I'm not just because I think the tone of the sound had harmonics in that were just like going out of key a little bit. I'd probably look into that, but again, like I'm only really hearing it a little bit through here, so.
Right.
So maybe try and tune it a little better.
I'll use like different notes or maybe a different kind of timbre sound for that bit. But yeah,
cool.
Ackley, if you want to send me that and I can explain better, please do.
Awesome. Thanks for the submission. We're gonna move on to the next one, which is Terracotta by J Wong Sound.
Oh, that's my friend from Alberta.
Right on. Canadian boys.
Yeah.
He must have skills in both physical and mental activities.
Very cool. That's like a old school kind of roller,
Yeah.
almost like in the vein of the others, old kind of stuff. Like I definitely dig it. It's like a deeper track. I would say maybe with the basses, like a little less reverb or something, or like even like low passing them just to really let the low end shine through, and then you could probably take the sub bass down a little bit too and kind of balance out the mix a little better. But it's definitely a cool little roller vibe. Like
I'm always a triplet boy. I like the flow. I think like what I would do for the B section is maybe it doesn't have to be a huge change in synth, but a little bit of variation would have been welcome. But,
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing there. Like, yeah, variation is definitely what I wanted to hear more of, especially at that kind of midpoint in the drop.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually pulled it up in my headphones, like from the SoundCloud link, and I actually really like the kind of harmonics on the sub that really glues the sub together with the bass above. So I think that's good. You should keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also like even just listening from the stream, I could hear what the sub was doing because of those harmonics, which is actually a really good trick for, making stuff even sound good on like laptop speakers.
Yeah,
making sure there's like a bunch of harmonics on the sub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out Justin though. He's been improving a lot like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll definitely be looking out for some more stuff, and don't forget to submit next time too. We just for anybody who doesn't know at this point, these streams we try and do them every other Monday unless like travel kind of gets in the way of that. But so yeah, every 2 weeks if you can crank something else out, send it to us if you want some feedback, and have our special guests kind of give you guys feedback. But thank you guys so much for all the submissions and everything. I want to, I'm going to move to a different segment now, which this is kind of going to be how I'm going to try and start finishing off the stream and winding things down. I'm going to have a few preset questions, a few kind of tailor-made to the guests at the end here. So the first one that I had was, how do you start your tracks, Harvey? I want to know kind of like more behind the process. I would guess you being a melodic producer, you would kind of start with like some kind of melodic element, but I've been surprised by a lot of people when I ask them this question. So
yeah, I mean, there definitely isn't one specific way I start a track. There's a few different ways I do really. A lot of them, they start with a chord sequence, or I'll actually take a chord sequence from another track that I kind of like the vibe of, and kind of work off that and make something completely different.
Yeah,
that's something I do quite a lot. Yeah, and you'll be surprised, like some of the places I get chord sequences from. I'm just like, I'll just hear something like in, I don't know, playing on the speakers at some shop, and I'm like, what is this? Shazam.
Uh-huh.
And then and then like find it and use the chords, and then like just because I like them.
Awesome.
Other things, like a lot of my tracks start from just like voice memos, so I'll have an idea for a melody or something, or a pattern, and I'll just like beatbox into my phone whatever the hell I'm wanting to do. I actually have like Face Punch was one of those. I was just like, I've got this idea for like the main riff of the track, and then I just like put it in my voice memos. And then later on I was like, I need ideas for tunes, went through my voice memos. I was like, I can make this into like a really like old school dubstep tune, and that's kind of like how that came about.
That's awesome.
But it can also just come from like just making a new sound. Like I just make a new sound and I'm like, this is really and then I'm just like off. I'm like using that for everything, or even just making like a new kick and snare can get me like really inspired to write a tune, because I'm like, I want to write something I can use this new kick and snare in. So definitely not like one specific place really. Sometimes it's the drop verse, sometimes it's the intro section, sometimes it's like the second half of the drop.
I do think it's really beneficial to go about it that way, not be like tied down to one method. I will say a lot of the time I do gravitate towards like most of my songs come from me like starting a new project and just like messing around with sounds and like trying a few new things that I haven't really done before or something, or just trying to make like a really cool sound first, and then I start kind of hearing a pattern in my head and like take it from there. So that was really cool. That's awesome to know. Like, I love that you utilize your beatboxing and everything for the voice memos. I wish I was like that open with myself and like would let myself do that. But I've actually I have whistled one thing into my memos that I was thinking about when I was out. And then I have actually kind of turned it into a working idea. It's not like a full track yet, but that's about as close as I've gotten.
It's worth doing, especially when you're like away from your laptop or whatever, and it's just like, this is a good melody. I know I can do something with this. I mean, Wait For Me was one of those. Wait For Me was like, I was in the shower and I was like, I had that like, wait for me thing. I was like, I think it was a completely different lyric originally. And then it was like, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and I just had that in my head. And I knew exactly what the bass was going to do underneath, and then I just went and like made it. Double Jump was another one of those. Double Jump I wrote within like 24 hours. Because, and that's the fastest I've written a track from start to finish, just because.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
that was like, I just had on my phone like, da 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 da, and then I knew exactly what everything was gonna be before I even like sat down.
It's amazing how ideas click sometimes.
How
irritating it is when they don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the fastest I've ever wrote a song, like start to finish, was my London Nebel remix that I finished within like 3 days or something. But that's literally like the fastest I've ever wrote a track.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I get scared sometimes to like write stuff too quickly, and I kind of feel like that's a bad thing that I have to work on. But like I don't know. I just don't want to like overdo it and then like mess.
I don't think you need to work on that. I just think you need to find a balance that suits you better.
Yeah, right? Something like that.
Yeah, because like I respect, like, even for video games, if you delay a video game and it turns out better, like, it's well worth it. So take all the time you need, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing as well. I come back to projects months later as well.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. Like,
I do this.
From Prairies to Fire, like that original like Firepower release. That was an idea I had from like 7 years ago that I found on like an old hard drive, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then just like brought it back. I mean, Evolve as well, which is like the track I use as my like outro for live shows. The reason why it's called Evolve is because it takes an idea, like a drum and bass tune I wrote with my cousin like 8 years ago. Combines it with like a dubstep idea I had from like 4 years ago, and like puts it all the way through and up until like 2018 last year when it was released, with like everything I had going on in that year. So it's just like, yeah, I do a lot of reusing and like, yeah, I just keep everything. Like I work on an idea and I'm like, this isn't going anywhere, and then I'll pick it up like a year later and go, oh, okay, I know.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how you can like. I do the same thing, and I think personally for me, it's the mindset of like, I like this idea, but I don't know where to take it yet, you know, and I don't think that's like a bad thing, you know. I think you learn more over time, and like you might solve the problem, you know, and be able to come back to it and like make a good, like even great song out of something, you know, like it's you should never like discount yourself in that regard. I think it's awesome to revisit old ideas and kind of figure out what you can do with them. Moving on, my next question was: do you prefer to do most of your sound design within the synth that you're working with, or do you prefer like a lot of post-processing methods?
Oh, so yeah, up until recently, it has been pretty much all in the synth. But recently, I've started messing around with a resonator plugin that Ace Aura showed me, and I've just been making some crazy stuff with that. I also use a lot of kind of like Logic's Bit Crusher. I do that a lot, but I mean, most of the stuff is really in the box in terms of like in Serum or in Massive or whatever.
Yeah. Quick side question: when you bit crush, do you roll off the high end afterwards?
It depends.
Sometimes it can get really fuzzy. You know, I've found myself in that situation, and I ended up like rolling off the highs. I thought it sounded better.
It depends on the Bit Crusher you're using, really, because like the one in Serum has more of kind of like a peak, whereas some Bit Crushers just like put a load of noise on the top, or the one in Logic is just like, I really really like it. It just and it makes things fizzy in the top, but not in like an irritating way. Or I can like parallel Bit Crush stuff. So just like if something needs a bit more high end, I can, you know, make a copy of it, Bit Crush, and then high pass.
I'm a fan of doing stuff like that too. Even doing like short reverbs like that too, like short reverbs and parallel, and then you can like cut the lows out of it or something. Okay, so next question for you is there one track in particular that you look back on and you feel like it like defined your sound, like it was a defining moment for you?
I usually say Starstorm. I don't know if you've heard that tune, but it's like I felt like it was pretty much like that's what the Chime sound is.
Did you feel like that at the time? Did you feel like when you were writing it, like this is what I want to do, this is it?
Definitely. Starstorm was immediately after Wait For Me, actually, about 2 years ago. So that's where I was like, because I've always really liked my ideas. I can go back to like 8 years ago, like projects 8 years ago, and go, I could remake this, and I'd play it out. I really like it. But sound design has always been just kind of like something I just want to get out of the way, because I just want to get the ideas going. But on that tune, I started like actually finding more of my own style in terms of sound design as well, not just ideas. And I kind of figured and started making sounds that I hadn't heard anyone else do. The kind of really really tonal, screechy yet growly sort of things, and so that kind of gave me an idea of the kind of sound design I wanted to go with as well.
Awesome. And that was how long ago did you say that was?
Probably about coming up to 2 years ago.
And how long, if you don't mind my asking, how long have you been making music?
So I think since about Well, it's difficult to define because like I was messing around in GarageBand for like a couple of years. Probably like from the very beginning, about 2009. But really, like the way I got into music was just I got a new MacBook and I was trying out all the apps and I tried out GarageBand. You know, I tried out iMovie. I made some like terrible YouTube videos. And then I was like, okay, what's next? GarageBand. Oh, let's make some music. I started throwing loops together and started really liking it. And that was, you know, I didn't really like music before that. It was just like, all I listened to really was video game music, which I didn't at the time class as listening to music really.
Right.
So I thought I just didn't like music. That was it.
So at that point, were you already beatboxing, or did beatboxing come like after you started working on music?
Beatboxing was just like a joke thing that me and my cousin would do. The cousin I'm talking about is the guy I originally started making drum and bass with as Caution and Crisis. And we originally started getting kind of some popularity on YouTube because we did a couple of Minecraft remixes. And they ended up in like the official like trailers for the Xbox and PlayStation 3 release of the game.
Wow.
Yeah, because they just got like a bunch of views and stuff. And also I was making DJ tutorials. So if you put in like, let's see if it comes up actually, like dubstep mixing tutorial beginners. Oh, some people are knocking down. No way. Yeah, it comes up 7 years ago. There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was making those tutorials and stuff that got like a bit of interest and stuff. So, yeah. What the hell was the question? Went completely off topic.
And we were talking about the track that defined your sound, but I was asking when like you had started making music.
Oh, geez, sorry. Yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple eras. There's like the messing around and making like joke music, and then there was like, okay, I want to start making more serious music, and then like getting into drum bass, and then starting to make drum bass for a while. Yeah, so then it was me and my cousin as Caution and Crisis, and then I started December, which was without the 3 originally, and then I added a 3, and then I started Chime when I was really sick of the name December because it's a terrible artist name. So yeah, so I've had lots of different eras before it's become what it is today, basically.
That's awesome.
What were your main initial influences that like drove you to like go into like taking music more seriously? Like, were they mainly drum and bass, or was it?
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, originally it was The Prodigy. It was. I remember my sister was watching like, you know, one of those music channels where they just go through all of the stuff in the charts and you see the music videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like MTV was. She was watching one of those, and The Prodigy came on with Omen, and I already knew like the old Prodigy tunes because my dad would play them when we were kids, and then I you know, there's like videos of me at like whatever age I was, like some tiny toddler dancing to Smack My Bitch Up.
Oh, dad.
Yeah, so then I was like, oh, it's these guys. I started really liking it, and I was kind of like, we were looking after a drum kit at our place at the time, and I started like drumming to a load of tunes. So The Prodigy was brilliant for that. And then from there, I kind of discovered Pendulum because they were like the other Prodigy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from there, it was like Subfocus, Netsky, got into Hospital Records, that sort of thing. And then the drum and bass thing came from there. And then me and my cousin were just listening to music constantly, like hanging out. So the first dubstep track I heard was by Joker called Stuck in the System.
Nice.
Very, very different to what we would call dubstep today. So, yeah. But yeah, The Prodigy Omen is definitely the tune where I was like, I want to make some of this. I want to figure out how to do this. I was also into like early Calvin Harris. So when I was starting to make music, I was like fully ripping off Calvin Harris. Yeah, so yeah, and then I gradually realized, all this video game music I've been listening to has been seeping into my brain as a child.
Yeah,
and then, like all my melodies and chord sequence, they're all influenced by different video games, really.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, totally. It definitely like carries that vibe through, and that's awesome that you weren't necessarily like a musical person either, because
not at all. I was completely inept.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as talent. It's all skill and a lot of time spent. learning stuff.
Yeah, that's really admirable, because I've been trying to write more melodic music myself and everything, and like I've always found it fun, but like I never had any kind of musical background and everything, and just knowing that somebody like you that's like crushing the melodic game right now, it didn't come up like playing instruments and everything. I think that should be like a big message to everybody,
Yeah, totally, yeah.
You
You do not have to. You don't need to learn music theory. You don't need to, as long as you have a general sense of like what notes work together, and
Right.
I mean, it definitely helps to learn a bit of music theory, but it's by no means necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one last question.
Okay.
We're kind of running over time.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that, but
that's no problem.
What's one plugin that you use that goes into every project?
Well, I guess. Well, Massive and Serum are my like synth plugins.
Of course.
OTT obviously goes on loads of stuff.
I
don't know. Let me load up Logic, see what I'm using. Yeah. Resonator has been just like a massive thing since Asora showed me that.
Is that right?
Yeah, I got the kilohertz resonator, and I've just been using it on like everything to make everything sound more cool.
Yeah,
and more tonal as well.
Yeah. Scott, do you want to weigh in on that one? What's one plugin that you use on every project?
Lately, like I've mentioned Effector and Vocodex a lot. Me lately. I've actually been using a lot of Serum effects lately, but like with Massive.
Yeah.
Like with Citrus, I'll use Serum effects with Citrus.
I do the same thing. I'll use like FMA and then throw Serum effects afterwards.
Yeah,
it's really good to just have like all the stuff just in a strip right there.
I really like the phaser and Serum effects.
Yeah.
I like pretty much everything in it, but yeah.
Yeah. Right on. I'll say that something that I use is Saturn. I love FabFilter Saturn. I've said this before, but like in terms of multiband distortion and like being able to use envelope generators and stuff like that, you can just do some really fun stuff with Saturn. I've used it on like my mastering chain. I've used it on my synth bus. I've used it on my drum bus. I've used it on like individual drums, so the possibilities are kind of endless there. So yeah, that pretty much kind of goes over everything that I wanted to touch on. Is there anything last minute that either of you guys would like to plug, or Harvey, you want to start off? I think we lost your mic, Harvey.
No. Play the chime noise right now.
It's time. Yeah, it's still not working. Let me make sure everything's okay.
I'm really glad that Harvey could chime in on a lot of things.
Yeah, we're gonna have Harvey rejoin real quick. Real quick, I would like to plug though. I have a date in Denver, Colorado, June 1st. So hopefully I'll see some familiar faces there. I've played there quite a few times and have some good friends out there. So
yeah,
are you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think I opened Logic and it decided to change all my audio settings.
Oh
man. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a couple of questions in the chat for me, so I was gonna answer those.
Go for it.
Yeah, so A Cosmo says, question for Chime, what tracks got you into melodic dubstep? So I think the main ones are Xylent, Choose Me Too, because that's the first instance of like where I heard like super saws being used in a dubstep track, and it kind of I kind of realized, oh, like you could just do big chords and they sound heavy as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. And then definitely like the very early Seven Lions, like Below Us and Days to Come was definitely
so good.
yeah, when I was really getting into the melodic stuff. Yeah. Were there other questions? I just see people highlighting Chime on stuff. But yeah, that was the main question. But yeah, plugging stuff. I don't know. I got a release coming out at the end of this month. But other than that, I have like my label Rushdown is having a release every week from now until about like August.
Wow.
And that's all like upcoming melodic dubstep producers. I'm kind of trying to cultivate what I'm calling color bass, which is kind of between melodic and the heavy stuff. It kind of has a mix of both. So please do check out Rushdown if you kind of are a fan of that.
Awesome.
A lot of like completely unknown producers are going to be popping up on there really soon.
Definitely excited for that.
Yeah, I've actually been a fan of your label for quite some time. Like I didn't know it was initially your label at first, but I've known for quite a while now that it was. But like I found out about it just I think through reposts or something. But,
yeah.
Really awesome music coming out there.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, for me it's just Denver on June 1st, and this Thursday, both Scott and I, like we said at the beginning of the stream, we have a remix coming out on Play Me Records that we're super excited for you guys to hear. Scott, do you have anything else coming up that you'd like to kind of plug last minute?
Nothing huge in particular. I guess I'll say is like I'm nearing completion on 2 EPs right now. And I have a house track I have no clue what to do with. I'm still on the fence of either releasing it under another project or just saying screw it and doing it as Subject 31. But I think I'll do that as a single pretty soon.
That was a really cool track. I really like that one.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, that one just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'd say just go for it with a Subject 31 release. Like I released that drum and bass tune recently, and I was just like, it's completely different to what I usually do, but might as well just put it out, see what people think.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you all the ones I'm working on after the stream.
Yeah, man, do it.
All right. I think that concludes the stream. Thank you guys so much. This was episode 62. Yeah, big thanks to Chime for coming through.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So we will see everybody in 2-ish weeks. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.